Rush Limbaugh came out on Saturday and apologized to Sandra Fluke for calling her a slut, a prostitute, etc. Sandra Fluke, of course, was the woman who went to testify to say that, hey, you know, contraception is a real woman's health issue, and she gave examples of a woman who lost an ovary because she couldn't get access to contraception, and it was very important for students to have access to it. And obviously, Rush Limbaugh didn't give a damn about the facts, and he went on to talk about how she must be having so much sex, and that he'd like to have it recorded and watch it as basically online porn. The man is filth, and that's what he did. And so on Saturday, why did he apologize for it? Because he actually said the comments on Wednesday, doubled down on Thursday, he tripled down on Friday. So why all of a sudden backpedal? Oh, we're going to get to that in a second. But first, let's hear his apology here. Let me give you the Saturday statement first. For over 20 years, I have illustrated the absurd with absurdity, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. In this instance, I chose the wrong words in my analogy of the situation. I did not mean a personal attack on Ms. Fluke. Now, let's talk about how absurd that is. You want to talk about absurdity? Calling her a slut and a prostitute and saying you'd like to watch online sex tapes of her, and that she must have boyfriends lined up around the block to have sex with her constantly. That was somehow a slip of the tongue? How is that not intending the insult? Come on, that is patently absurd. Of course you intended it. Who are you kidding now? Now, it would be one thing to say, hey, listen, I said this, man, and God, that was so stupid of me. I should have never said that. And when I rethought it, I think this. But to pretend as if you didn't actually try to personally insult her is beyond absurd, to use your language. And then in the middle of the apology, he stops apologizing. Listen to what he says. But look, where do we draw the line? If this is accepted as the norm, what will follow? Referring to this idea of allowing for contraception on these campuses. Will we be debating if taxpayers should pay for new sneakers for all students that are interested in running to keep fit? No, we're not talking about new sneakers. We're talking about a health issue, and we're talking about contraception. So in the middle of your so-called apology, you're like, I mean, what do these people want now? Next, we're going to give them free sneakers? First of all, you're not giving them anything. It's actually the insurance company that is providing the contraception because it actually saves them money. So the whole thing is grossly misleading in the first place, and now you put another insulting analogy on top of that. And then at the end, here comes the so-called apology part of the so-called apology. My choice of words was not the best. In the attempt to be humorous, I created a national stir. I sincerely apologize to Ms. Fluke for the insulting word choices. Yeah, well, no, it doesn't really seem like you sincerely apologized to her at all. So why is he doing this? Well, that is very obvious. It's because of all of the sponsors that he has lost. And he is in a world of hurt here. First, he lost Sleep Train and Sleep Number. We told you about that last week. Now he's lost Citrix Systems Incorporated, LegalZoom, and then AOL Today pulled out. That's a very important advertiser. Pro Flowers, in the, believe it or not, in the radio world is a gigantic advertiser. That hurts him really bad. So is Carbonite. So is Quicken Loans. Those are all huge, huge advertisers. And that's why Limbaugh is in a world of hurt and all of a sudden doing unprecedented apologies. Because Rush Limbaugh never apologizes. But now that it looks like it's going to cost him a ton of money, all of a sudden, he's found remorse. Funny how that works. So today, he goes on his program and tries to apologize again. Now listen to who he says is at fault. Somehow, it's not him, it's liberals. Let's listen.
I don't expect, and I know you don't either, morality, intellectual honesty from the left. They've demonstrated over and over a willingness to say or do anything to advance their agenda. It's what they do. It's what we fight against here every day. But this is the mistake I made. In fighting them on this issue last week, I became like them. Against my own instincts, against my own knowledge, against everything I know to be right and wrong, I descended to their level when I used those two words to describe Sandra Fluke. That was my error. I became like them. And I feel very badly about that. I've always tried to maintain a very high degree of integrity and independence on this program.
That's a
The
good one.
apology to her over the weekend was sincere. It was simply for using inappropriate words in a way I never do. And in so doing, I became like the people we oppose. I ended up descending to their level. It's important not to be like them, ever.
Yeah, okay, that's great. Inappropriate words like you never use. Really? Has anybody ever listened to the Rush Limbaugh program? All you ever do is use inappropriate words. But forget that. 90% of the apology was about how, I became like the liberals, I descended to their level, and I can't believe I did that against my own instincts and knowledge and all the things that I know. So I'm such an awesome guy. But for a brief moment, I was like the liberals. So let's all blame the liberals and the left for this instead of my big fat mouth causing me all this problem. Well, you know what, Rush? Apology definitely 100% not accepted. That was no apology. That was, in fact, maybe the worst apology I have ever heard. I'm sorry because I became like my political opponents for a brief moment. Otherwise, I'm awesome. Screw you, Rush. Hell no do we accept that apology. Nobody accepts that apology. By the way, including his sponsors, even after his initial statement on Saturday, many of those sponsors, including Carbonite and AOL and the others, pulled out. And one of the sponsors said, look, I got a daughter. This is beyond acceptable levels of political discourse. And Pro Flowers was talking about how are we going to explain this to our clients? Remember, a lot of women get flowers. I don't know if Rush knew that. So, look, I told you earlier when we covered this issue at the end of last week that Rush's ratings are in big-time trouble. He dropped by 33% last year. It's because, partly at least because they've switched to an accurate reading of the ratings. And so he is in a world of hurt. And this is what happens when advertisers get offensive comments like this and they don't have the ratings to back it up. They go, well, why am I endangering my brand and have it, you know, in the muck with this kind of filth like Rush Limbaugh if it turns out he isn't even getting good ratings? So that's why Rush Limbaugh is in a tailspin right now. So he's doing all these apologies, but it ain't going to help because they're not real apologies. He doesn't mean it, and his ratings suck. And in fact, I've issued a challenge to him. I'll give him $10,000. It's a Mitt Romney-like challenge on purpose. For me, that's a ton of money. Rush, come take my money. Come on, take it. All you got to do is prove to me that you got 20 million listeners. They claim to have 20 million listeners. A day? A week? Go for it.